Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. Finn stood frozen in the doorway, his heart pounding so loudly he was sure everyone in the room could hear it. Sheila's voice still echoed through the hallway, sharp with rage and old grudges, and Taylor's stunned expression told him everything he needed to know. Whatever his birth mother had just said, it wasn't innocent. It wasn't kind. And it definitely wasn't something that could be brushed aside as a misunderstanding. Finn took a slow step forward, placing himself between the two women, his body instinctively shielding Taylor as if danger were already in the air. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The tension was thick enough to do the talking for him. Sheila stared at him, surprised by the way he had positioned himself, as though he were daring her to make another move. For a split second, the mask slipped, and the anger she'd been barely hiding flared in her eyes. Finn saw it, and it sent a chill through him. This was the woman who had brought him into the world, yet also the woman whose history was stained with betrayal, obsession, and chaos. He loved the idea of a mother, but he feared the reality of Sheila. He told her to stop. Not gently, not politely. He said it with the authority of someone who was done watching people he cared about get hurt. Taylor didn't deserve to be pulled into Sheila's storm. She had already been through enough, and Finn wasn't about to let another round of emotional warfare land on her doorstep. Sheila tried to protest, insisting she had every right to speak her mind, every right to defend herself. But Finn cut her off. He said rights didn't matter when they were being used as weapons. Taylor, still shaken, tried to step back, but Finn held his ground. He glanced at her, offering a reassuring nod, silently telling her he had this. Then he turned back to Sheila, and the words he spoke next were calm but devastating. He told her that if she truly wanted to be part of his life, she had to prove she was different. Not with tears. Not with dramatic apologies. With actions. With restraint. With respect for the people he loved. Sheila scoffed, but Finn didn't waver. He reminded her that revenge was her old pattern, and everyone knew it. The moment something didn't go her way, she lashed out. She manipulated me. She schemed. And now, here she was again, circling Taylor like she was a target. Finn said he wouldn't allow it. Not now. Not ever. For a long moment, no one spoke. The silence was heavy, almost painful. Sheila's eyes flicked from Finn to Taylor and back again, as if she were weighing her options. Part of her wanted to explode, to defend herself, to turn the situation into another emotional battlefield. But Finn's gaze held her in place. There was no fear in it, only disappointment. And that cut deeper than any angry outburst could. He told her he wanted to believe she could change. He wanted to believe the woman standing in front of him wasn't the same person who had caused so much destruction in the past. But belief, he said, wasn't blind. It had to be earned. He laid out his demand clearly. If Sheila wanted any kind of relationship with him, she had to leave Taylor alone. No more threats. No more intimidation. No more subtle jabs meant to reopen old wounds. If she broke that promise, he was done. Taylor finally found her voice. It was quiet but firm. She said she didn't want to be part of whatever unresolved conflict Sheila was carrying. She had her own life, her own healing, and she refused to let someone else's bitterness derail it. Finn felt a surge of pride in her strength, and it only reinforced his resolve. Sheila laughed softly, a sound that made Finn's stomach twist. She claimed she was being misunderstood, that she was only trying to protect her son. But Finn shook his head. He said protection didn't look like threats. It didn't look like revenge. It looked like boundaries. And right now he was setting one. He told her he had spent his entire life trying to reconcile the woman who gave birth to him with the stories he'd heard about her. He'd defended her more times than anyone knew. He'd hoped, maybe foolishly, that she really was changing. But moments like this made it harder and harder to keep believing. He wasn't going to sacrifice the people he loved just to give her another chance. The words hit Sheila harder than she expected. Her face tightened, and for a second, there was something hurt behind the anger. She asked him if he was really choosing Taylor over his own mother. Finn answered without hesitation. He said he was choosing what was right. And right now, What was right was protecting someone who had done nothing to deserve Sheila's wrath. The tension in the room shifted. Sheila could feel it. She was losing control of the situation, and that terrified her. Control had always been her weapon, and Finn had just taken it away. He wasn't a scared child anymore. He was a grown man, and he wasn't afraid to stand up to her. He told her this was her chance. A real one. Not a pretend apology followed by more chaos. A genuine opportunity to show that she could be better. He said he didn't need grand gestures. He needed consistency. He needed to see her walk away from this feud, to let go of whatever vendetta she was holding against Taylor, and to choose peace instead. Taylor watched the exchange with a mixture of relief and disbelief. She had seen Finn's kind side, his compassionate side, but this was something different. This was strength. And it made her feel safer than she had in a long time. Sheila, cornered by the truth, tried one last tactic. She accused Taylor of turning Finn against her, of poisoning his mind. Taylor started to respond, but Finn stopped her with a gentle hand. He said this wasn't Taylor's doing. It was Sheila's. He had seen enough to make his own decisions, and he wasn't going to let anyone rewrite reality. His voice softened as he spoke about how much he wanted a relationship with his mother. He said he dreamed of a future where they could talk without suspicion, where they could build something healthy. But that future couldn't exist if Sheila kept dragging the past into every room she walked into. He begged her, not as a son desperate for approval, but as a man who knew his own worth, to let go of the anger. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Sheila's eyes glistened, though whether from emotion or frustration was impossible to tell. She looked at Finn, really looked at him, and for a moment, she seemed to realize how much she stood to lose. Her son wasn't a pawn anymore. He was drawing a line in the sand. Finally, she said she would think about what he'd said. It wasn't the promise he wanted, but it was something. Finn nodded, though his expression remained guarded. He told her thinking wasn't enough.
Almost
He needed to see it.
Sheila stepped back.
He needed to see her walk
The air
away
seemed
from
to
Taylor
clear
just
just
a
a
little
little
as the physical distance between her and Taylor grew. Finn kept his eyes on her, waiting for any sign she might strike back with another cruel remark. But she didn't. Not this time. When she finally turned and left, the silence that followed was almost surreal. Taylor let out a shaky breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Finn turned to her, his concern immediate. He asked if she was okay, and she nodded, though her eyes were still filled with emotion. She thanked him for standing up for her, for not letting the situation spiral into something worse. Finn told her he would always stand up for the people he cared about. It didn't matter who was on the other side of the conflict. Love didn't mean blind loyalty. It meant doing what was right, even when it was painful. As they talked, Finn couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in his chest. He knew Sheila too well to believe this was the end of it. She had a way of coming back, of finding new angles, new ways to push. But this time things were different. He had made his expectations clear. He had demanded change, not just words. He told Taylor that if Sheila broke her promise, he wouldn't hesitate to cut her out. It was a terrifying thought, but also a strangely liberating one. For the first time, he felt like he was in control of his own story. Taylor placed a hand on his arm, her gratitude evident. She said she hoped Sheila would listen, that maybe this was the wake-up call she needed. Finn said he hoped so too, though hope felt fragile in the face of Sheila's history. Later, when Finn was alone, the weight of what had just happened settled over him. Confronting Sheila like that had taken everything he had. She was his mother after all. But love didn't erase accountability. If anything, it demanded it. He replayed the look in her eyes, the mix of anger and something softer, something almost regretful. Could she really change? Could years of manipulation and revenge be undone by one firm boundary? Finn didn't know. But he knew one thing for certain. He wasn't going to let fear dictate his choices anymore. In the days that followed, every phone call, every knock at the door made his heart jump. He half expected Sheila to reappear, to test the limits he'd set. But there was nothing. Just an uneasy quiet that felt like the calm before a storm. Taylor tried to focus on her own life, on moving forward, but the encounter had left a mark. Still, she felt stronger knowing Finn was willing to protect her, to put her well-being above his complicated past. Finn, meanwhile, wrestled with conflicting emotions. Part of him missed the idea of his mother, the version of Sheila he wished she could be. Another part of him was bracing for disappointment. He knew change was possible, but it was rare, and it was hard. When Sheila finally did reach out, it wasn't with accusations or threats. It was with a simple message, asking if they could talk. Finn stared at his phone for a long time before responding. He knew this conversation could go in 100 different directions. But he also knew he couldn't avoid it forever. He agreed to meet, but on his terms. In a public place. No ambushes. No surprise confrontations. Sheila arrived looking almost subdued, a far cry from the fiery woman who had confronted Taylor. Finn couldn't tell if it was an act or something real, but he was determined to find out. She told him she had been thinking about what he said, about how her actions kept pushing him away. She admitted, in a quiet voice, that she didn't want to lose him. Finn listened, his guards still firmly in place. He told her wanting wasn't enough. He needed proof. He asked her directly if she was willing to leave Taylor alone, to let go of her grudge. Sheila hesitated, just for a second, and that hesitation spoke volumes. Finn felt his heart sink. But then she nodded. She said she would try. The try wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Finn told her he appreciated the effort, but he warned her that one misstep would change everything. He wasn't bluffing. As they parted ways, Finn felt a strange mix of hope and dread. He had done everything he could to set things right. Now the rest was up to Sheila. Back at home, Taylor asked how it went. Finn told her the truth. That he didn't know if his mother would truly change, but he had made his expectations clear. Taylor smiled softly, telling him that sometimes that was all you could do. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Finn had drawn a line, and Sheila had been forced to face it. Whether she stepped over it or respected it would decide everything that came next. And in that fragile space between old habits and new possibilities, Finn stood ready to protect the people he loved, no matter the cost. Come back to our channel for all your updates. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.